I am a new executive and I am overwhelmed with all of the context switching. How did you or do you manage it?
Oh gosh, everybody's overwhelmed with all the context switching. I mean, it's so chaotic. Um, I mean, listen, you're going to hear a lot of conventional strategies. They're all correct, right? Block your calendar, protect your time, and those things can help a little bit. One of the things that helped me the most, and I've used it with my exec teams before, and I recommend it to some of my coaching clients too, is this thing I call like fun versus important, this exercise. And it's basically you spend a couple weeks, super lightweight, don't put a lot of time into it, a couple minutes a day. And at the end of the day, you plot out everything you spent significant work time doing, a big meeting you went to, a document you wrote, a strategy you innovated, whatever it is, and you just plot it on a 2 by 2 grid. And one axis is this truly important for the business or not? And the other axis is this fun for me personally or not? And when I first did this, by the way, doing this exercise is ultimately what led me to decide I needed a break from being CEO. I did started this a year before I stopped being CEO of Textio, and then I did it with my whole exec team. What I found was most of my work was important, but only about half of it was fun. And then I had others on my exec team do the same exercise, and we all compared results. And what you want is for the whole team to kind of be 80% in that upper right, right? You can't be 100%. Every job's got its tax. But so we ended up trading some responsibilities around
Mm.
in a way that maybe didn't perfectly align with job title, but it got everybody working more in that upper right. So back to the question about context shifting, I think this sort of inventory of how you're really spending your time gives you a tremendous amount of data. Maybe you want to turn it into a story for your organization, right? But it gives you a tremendous amount of data about where you're spending your time and actually gives you insight as to whether some of those context shifts maybe aren't as important as you think. And so what I have found when I've done this with leaders is that analysis causes you to take chunks of stuff off your plate. You're like, oh, this isn't actually that important for the business. Maybe nobody needs to do it. Or like, I work with Meg and Amy. I don't like this stuff, but Amy loves it. Amy doesn't like that stuff, but Meg loves it. Meg doesn't like what's on her plate, but I love it. So we're going to trade things around, and it lets people get more deeply into flow in sort of more coherent, piles of work. The other thing I love is instead of making a to-do list, simple thing on your own, instead of making your to-do list, make a tree where you sort of group things thematically. And then you can kind of say, okay, like here's my people activities bucket, here's my product strategy bucket, here's my like admin overhead bucket. And it lets you decide which bucket is most important today, which task is most important today. But seeing it as a tree, again, is another way to see the balance of where your time is going. But the whole idea is to cut stuff, like remove the shifts if you can. Just take them off your plate.
So I love these ideas. I've actually blogged about this a couple different ways and a couple different times. So I also am a big believer in doing the inventory, thinking about types of work, thinking about, I like to put it into the frame of managing your energy, which is really just the different words for what, Kieran, you were describing. A couple other things. So as your job gets bigger, it becomes more important. You have a lot more stakeholders, you have a lot more constituents you have to manage. A couple things that are really important to overlay. Number one, you need to be really intentional about the energy you show up to whatever those different contexts are. Some types of meetings can be with trusted friends, and you can be a little bit less prepared or a little bit like emotionally prepared. You can just kind of show up however you are and have whatever emotions you have in that moment. Some things really, it might be a group they don't get to see you that often. And if you show up and just are having a low energy day, that could really inform their opinion of you forever. So taking the time to ground yourself in what the context is and what they need from you, and really being thoughtful about how that's going to arc within the energy of your day matters a lot. Because if you're doing a whole bunch of things that force you to pull deep into your energy reserves to show up in the way you need to show up for that thing, maybe you're fundraising, maybe you're presenting to the board, maybe you're doing whatever, and you haven't thought through recovery from that, you can end up cumulatively depleting yourself. So my strong recommendation is to take it seriously. It does take practice. So just, sometimes you just got to get the reps in to get better at it. And then thinking in terms of strategies of energy, how you focus your time. And one of the things that I like to do for energy is to sort of balance out energy takers and energy givers within a given day, because that helps build more sustainable strategy for me. So if you're trying to manage cognitive load, that's not as helpful. But if you're trying to manage energy load, which for me has a lot to do with how my cognitive efficiency works, it is super helpful to be planful and look at your calendar as something that you can manage within a day or within a week to try to keep those ebbs and flows going in a way that gives you the reserves you need to be able to manage.
Also, just worth saying, not everybody likes jobs that have a lot of context shifting in them, right? You don't actually have to be an executive to have an amazing career. And
Correct.
so a lot of executive jobs do have a lot of context shifting in them. You can learn to get better at it. You can use these strategies. And still in all, some people don't like that way of operating.
There was a Paul Graham article maybe a month or two ago called like maker mode versus manager mode. And it was all about like time management and how, for maker mode, it's bigger blocks of flow time, and manager mode is, very quick blocks of meetings, and how they conflict with each other, and how managers tend to inflict manager mode onto makers, and that makes makers miserable.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I thought it was a really brilliant article. So for me, my like one of my first weeks at SAP, I went to Germany, and the executive assistant that I had at the time booked all of my meetings, and I swear I had 14 to 16 30-minute meetings every single day, and it was across the SAP campus in June, and it was hot, no AC, and I had to like run from one meeting to another. I think maybe she gave me like a 5-minute break in between. Like, I mean, it was just insane. Like, it was it was context switching at like this level, right?
On every dimension too.
Every
Physical
dimension.
context switching, person context
Right.
switching, topic context switching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything after that seemed really easy. It was like when you have a phobia and you have to like you have
Exposure
to like
therapy.
live with the snakes or something. So, but
Yeah. Don't do Amy's strategy.
so don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, that was
Sounds
don't
terrible.
live with the snakes.